Hello everyone, welcome to GS Core. So in our series of coverage of daily current affairs through MCQs, we'll be seeing the MCQs based on today's current affairs. Right? So let us have a look at the topics that we are going to touch upon. The third party application, the Paytm issue and the license is in news. And recently the third party application has been approved for the Paytm. We'll see the agencies involved, etc. The shifting cultivation. There are various types of shifting cultivation, right? There was a news regarding the legalization of the Jhum sort of shifting cultivation, and hence a question has been framed in this regard. India is trying to expand the horizons with regards to a free trade deal with the EAEU, that is Eurasian Economic Union. Recently, the United Nations Development Programme came up with its recent Human Development Index, and hence a question from this, and the Katanaga region with regards to the location in news. So let us look at the questions. Third party application. So like I was referring to the news that the Paytm issue is in the news with regards to Paytm actually getting the NPCI, that is the National Payment Corporation of India's nod to become a third party application provider. Remember, regarding the deposits and the banking functions, there were certain sanctions which were imposed on the Paytm, and finally Paytm has taken a route to register itself as a third party application provider. Okay, and the question is based on that. So let us read the question first. Consider the following statements. A third party application provider is an entity that provides the UPI compliant app to the end user customers to facilitate UPI based payment transactions. These applications could be mobile wallets, merchant apps, or any other that utilizes UPI for payments. Now, in questions like these, with regards to concepts, skills, and approach, let us try and decipher this. So if you look at the concept is the legality of payment. Basically, who can do what? So if you are aware that there are various kind of financial players in the market, you have the regular banks, the scheduled commercial banks as we know them, right? Then you have the financial aggregators, okay, non-banking finance companies, right? Things like that. So with regards to concept, you should know the do's and don'ts with regards to them, and this helps you connect the dots, because if you look at the approach, it is all about connecting the concept and the current affairs. The skills which are needed is not only the recall but also interlinking and deduction. All right. So now if you look at the format of the question, it is the classical format where elimination can be used. So if we look at the first statement, this is correct, and so is the second statement, and practically this is the third party application we are referring to in the context of the payment ecosystem. Similar questions can be made on the various concepts that I have listed. So since both the statements are correct here, the option to mark would be option C. Option C. Next is about shifting cultivation. I told you that a recent study has advocated for the legalization of Jhum sort of shifting cultivation in the northeast region. So Jhum is in northeast, right? So this was the news. Now if you look at the concept, the skills and the approach for such a question, you need the facts plus the types of cultivation, because the question can offer or intermingle with the types, right? The skills which you are needed with is the recall or the retention skill, because it is a fact based question. Also you see the nature of the question here. While the focus was on Jhum, the examiner has made the question based on locus or the concept at hand, that is the type of cultivation. So you should know various types of cultivation and the geographical area types of crops that are associated with every type. Okay, so while approaching this question, you have to look at the facts and the geographical and typology mapping will help. Now let us look at the pairs. Kuruva, Telangana; Jhuming, northeast; Daya, Chhattisgarh; Podu, Andhra Pradesh. So if you look at this, the shifting cultivation is also known as slash and burn agriculture. Jhuming or Jhum cultivation, which is the news item in focus, and we have talked about in the northeastern state. So at least two, and these are the options A, B, C, D. 2 is correct, and we find that 2 is there in the first three options. The D option can be ruled out. Now if you know, if you look at the options, right, and if you can decipher either 4 or 3, things will help. I am saying either because in case you identify 3, then the problem is solved, because 3 is here. You can easily eliminate A and B, right? In case you identify 4, you will still narrow down to 2 options, right? Daya is also known as Bewar, right? And it's a shifting cultivation which is in the Madhya Pradesh, primarily the Gond tribes. And that makes me align one more thing in the concept: the types of crops, geographical area, and the people, the cultural aspect associated with it. So Daya is in Madhya Pradesh. So 3 is incorrect. So the moment 3 becomes incorrect and 2 becomes correct, I can, cross this. The Podu cultivation, if you look at, is the correct one. It is in the Andhra Pradesh. So we have 2 and 4 as correct. Therefore, the option to mark is option B. Option B. Moving further, free trade talks with the EAEU, that is the Eurasian Economic Union. So, like I said, news was about this. If you look at the approach, concept, and the skills that are needed, the international groupings concept is something which is very important. Within this, we have to look at membership, history, purpose, and India specific linkages. That is important. So the skills that are needed is interlinking plus fact retention or recall. Along with it, when the question is from current affairs, you have to develop a deduction ability. So always keep these facts handy. So let us read the question further. It consists of all the former members of the Soviet Union. Now, like I said, membership is critical, right? If you look at the EAEU, it organized several former Soviet states, including Russia, Belarus, Kazakhstan, Armenia and Kyrgyzstan, but not all. Not all. So this statement becomes incorrect. This statement becomes incorrect. It is an institution under the Commonwealth of Independent States. CIS. No, it is separate. So similar states, what other groupings are they involved in? Again incorrect. It would serve as a Eurasian counterpart and potentially partner to the EU. That is correct. EU is largely the Western-led European partner bloc. So this statement is correct, and this has come from the deductive ability. If you look at the format, it is the how many format. So only one is correct. Therefore, the option to mark would be option A. Option A. Just like we saw the question with EAEU, there can be a question with EU, ASEAN, right, and similar other groupings. Moving on to the next topic, that is the UNDP Human Development Index. So recently in news, the index came and India's rank, and it is for 2022, India's rank was 134, whereas in 2021, India's rank was 135. This was out of 193 countries and this is out of 191 countries. Okay, so with regards to any indices, the concept always should reflect on what is it about, the stakeholders, agencies involved, agenda, and India's position. Okay. So HDI is a very prominent index which is released by the UNDP, United Nations Development Program. So the skills that we require for such a question is not only the fact retention, but also interlinking and deduction. Because you see, you are working at three levels. One is the current affairs. Next is the interlinking with the issue at hand. And third, what is playing out domestically with it, the deduction part. Okay, so it not only looks at the what aspect but also the how and why aspect. Often there are statements which are reasoning based statements which you have to identify correct or not. Okay, so while approaching such a question, one should reflect this deductive logic. If you look at the format, this is again statement 1 explains statement 2 kind of a format. So we not only have to identify the correctness of these statements, we also have to look at the relationship. Hence, the interlinking is crucial. So if you read the first statement, the Human Development Index is solely, whenever you find these absolutist words, remember in the approach, be very guarded. Based on economic indicators such as gross national income per capita, thereby neglecting social and environmental factors. That is incorrect. That is incorrect. While the gross national income per capita is one of the components, it's also considered health, education indicators. So the moment your first statement becomes incorrect, the option that comes to us is option C. But nonetheless, always examine the statement 2. SDI consists of 3 key dimensions: health, education, standard of living, each measured using indicators such as life expectancy at birth, mean years of schooling, and gross national income per capita respectively. So the mechanism, I told you what it is needed, the agencies, the agenda, all of it should be clear so that you can come at an answer. So this is clear and that gets reflected by our elimination as well. Hence the option to mark is option C. Option C. Moving towards the last question. It is about the Katanaga region. Now if you look at Katanaga region, we are actually looking at the conflict, right, and the flare up that is happening in Eastern Congo. Eastern Congo, right? And the usage of children in cobalt mines, right? And this issue has come up. So if you look at the concept actually comes from the current affairs here. Current affairs in the sense that there might be a human issue involved. Now, what is the global view on it? Are there any conventions or protocols or treaty? India's role or concerns? All these things become important. With regards to skills, strong interlinking and factual skills are needed. Also, I would say extrapolation, because you might be asked a question with respect to a region. Then with regards to politics, society, economy of that area, geographical references that can be asked in the question. Therefore, extrapolation skills is needed. You need to have a holistic view of the things. So while approaching such a question, always remember that you need to deduce, wherein fact plus extrapolation, right? Let us read the question. So the focus is on Katanaga region. So the location, that is the fact part. So map comes handy. The eastern part of the province is considered to be rich mining region, which supplies cobalt, copper, tin, radium, uranium and diamond. So see, geographical angle has come here, right? This statement is correct. World's most cobalt is mined from copper mines of Katanga. This is also correct. If you look at the format, it is the classical format where elimination can be used. Since both the statements are correct, the answer is option C. Well, you will find more news from today in today's current affairs, daily current affairs compilation, the link for which you will have in the description. Also, comment and think which region or which issue you haven't understood, so that we'll help you understand that issue at the video. That's all. Thank you.